This video is on what if Naruto was banished and became an emperor part 10. The like goal for this what if is 39 likes. Sooner like goal is meets sooner I will upload the next part for this what if. If you enjoy this what if, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Disclaimer, I don't own Naruto nor this fanfic. Konoha Danzo's office. What makes you think I want any of your help? Danzo asked, as his evil grin disappeared from his face. Now Danzo, don't think you can fool me. You have already run out of ideas with how to handle young Naruto, not to mention that the other two elders have passed. You are alone now. The civilian council will not do much to help you. This is a Shinobi village and the words of the Shinobi council and Hokage are held much higher than the civilians, especially in time of war, Orochimaru said. So? What's your point? My point is, you should consider some assistance for your troubles, and I believe I have found the perfect group that can help. They too have been oppressed by the Kibajinshi Uriki and have put aside their differences at the moment to form together to take him down, Orochimaru explained. This got Danzo intrigued. I thought you had your help with Iwa and Kumo. Are they not enough for you? Danzo asked. The Snake Seinen just laughed at the thought. Please, those two countries are mere pawns in my little game. They are weak and selfish, only concerned about themselves. I could put them easily under my control, Orochimaru replied. Well, then why don't you? Danzo quipped back. Because they'll become a great headache. The Raikage and Tsuchikage only think about themselves and their villages. I have plans for bigger and better things, Orochimaru said. Danzo nodded, accepting the explanation. So what of this group that can help us? Where do we find them? The old Warhawk asked. Not so fast. Don't think this information will come for free, Orochimaru said as he wagged his finger in front of Danzo. And what is your price? The elder asked. Don't play dumb with me. You know full well what my price is, Orochimaru answered. No. You will not get the Uchiha. He is the last of his kind. He is off limits, Danzo said as he raised his voice in anger. Orochimaru just shook his head. Well, you can watch Konoha burn in flames then. Even though I may consider both Kumo and Iwa weak, there is no way you can defeat them both along with Oto. Not to mention, the Kibajinshi Uriki could also possibly destroy this place before I even reach here. It's really up to you which way you want to die. However, if you give me the Uchiha, I will back off of Konoha and help with the destruction of both Kumo and Iwa. Not to mention that the people I know want to take down the Kibajinshi Uriki. If they succeed, then he will no longer be a threat to you. Either way, Konoha is saved and you seem like a hero, Orochimaru explained as Danzo pondered the thought. He knew that Orochimaru spoke the truth. No matter how much he tried to deny it, Konoha was weaker compared to the other villages. The loss of Tsunade, Jiraiya, and Naruto hurt the power of the village. Add to the fact that the current Hokage wasn't as strong as the previous, Konoha was extremely weak. Even though he hated having to give up the Uchiha, Danzo knew that this was a risk he needed to take to protect the village. He wanted Konoha to rise again, and making more enemies was not the way to do it. He would have to swallow his pride on this one. He needed the Kibai brat gone forever, and this seemed like the only way to do it. Orochimaru watched as the elder thought about his decision. He knew he had the old man cornered and grinned at that fact. I'm waiting, he said. Fine. You may take the Uchiha. However, you must agree to pull your forces off our borders. We know you've been planning something, and giving you the Uchiha will be our peace offering. Now, you will take me to this group at once. Danzo demanded as Orochimaru smiled with pleasure. Of course. I'll give you the time and place, he said as he began to write. However, you also need to make it look like the Uchiha forcefully deserted. This will give me an excuse to leave the village, Danzo said as Orochimaru grinned at the idea. You're a dastardly one, Danzo. No wonder you have so much power here. Orochimaru replied. Both men acknowledged the other as the Snake Sen and gave the Warhawk the information. Within seconds, he disappeared, leaving Danzo to wonder what would happen next. Western Empire. After his battle with Pain, Naruto returned with Jiraiya back to Suna. They stayed behind for a bit to help Gaara with their recovery efforts. Nearly half of the Suna Jonin had died or were severely injured in their battle with the 6 Paths of Pain. Not to mention that parts of the village were destroyed. Though he was tired, Naruto hired Shine to the west and brought back both Elric brothers. They would help with the rebuilding of the village and also provide other support that Gaara needed. Naruto and the group that he brought with him returned to the west way past midnight. Naruto returned to the palace as the others went home to get their rest as well. He opened the door to his room slowly, hoping to not wake his wife. As he entered into the pitch-black room, he noticed Euphemia was standing on the balcony, staring out at the still lively city. Naruto figured she was still up. Whenever he was away, she would always stay up until he returned. He closed the door slowly and quietly, as to not alert her of his presence. He walked quietly to the balcony area of their room, which was quite far. Naruto snuck up behind his wife as she stared out at the capital. He put his arms around her waist and pulled her close to him. Euphemia shrieked a little bit, scared that someone put their arms around her so suddenly. However, she soon realized the smell and touch of her husband, who she had been waiting for. Naruto gave her tiny kisses on her cheek as he held her close to him. He took in her intoxicating smell that he loved so much. It was another full moon tonight in the night sky with the stars shining brightly. The setting couldn't be any more perfect for the two of them. I'm home, Yuffie, Naruto said as he kissed the back of her neck. Euphemia let out a small moan as she raised her arms around her husband's neck. Welcome home, dear, she managed out as Naruto started to move down her backside. I told you to not wait up for me, Bayo, Naruto said in between kisses. I know, dear, but you know I can't help it. I'm always worried for you, Euphemia said as she finally turned around to face her husband. She planted a loving kiss on his lips, which turned into a heavy make-out session between the Emperor and Empress. Naruto pulled his wife back into the room and closed the glass doors that led to the balcony. He turned Euphemia around again and pushed her gently upon the glass. She was wearing her usual nightgown that Naruto had gotten for her. It was all white and was only held together by 2 strings that were tied in a knot at the base of the back of her neck. Naruto untied the knot and watched as his wife's nightgown fell to the floor, leaving her entire body exposed. Euphemia turned around very slowly, giving Naruto a little show as she exposed her front side to him. She took his hand and led him to their bed. For some reason, whenever he came home from trips abroad, they would always be in the mood for this. No matter how tired Naruto would be, the sight of his wife would turn him on. Euphemia loved it. As they got the edge of the bed, Euphemia pushed Naruto onto it. Naruto laid on his back as he felt Euphemia tugging his pants loose. You must be tired, dear. Let me help you get out of these dirty clothes, she said as she stripped Naruto down. She made sure that Naruto was all clean before they got to bed. The next day the sun shined brightly in the sky as the morning came for the west. Both Naruto and Euphemia managed to sleep in this morning, mostly because of the lovemaking they did the night before. However, Naruto started to stir. He was going to be busy again today and needed to call the council for a meeting. He knew his generals were all set with the necessary arrangements for the next phase. Though he didn't know it yet, Naruto was about to act at the perfect time. As he sat up, he noticed his wife was still sleeping. She was still naked under their sheets and had a smile on her face. He always wondered why she smiled when she slept. He had asked her about it one time and she said it was because she was always thinking about him. Naruto also liked to attribute it to the great sex they always had. Naruto kissed his wife on the cheek and got out of bed to prepare for the day. He got himself showered and changed into new clothes and set out to call his council for a meeting. He sent clones to alert the other members as he headed for the council chambers. Council chambers. Naruto arrived first to the empty room. It felt awkward to him that he was the first one there when he was usually the last. Slowly but surely, the other council members trickled in as well as Jiraiya and Tsunade as Naruto's adopted grandparents stood behind him. Because he respected her so much, Naruto made sure that he would start to include Tsunade in council meetings to bring her up to speed on what was going on. Once everyone who needed to be there arrived, the meeting began promptly. Thank you all for coming on such short notice. Before you guys give me any updates, I would like to announce that the Akatsuki is officially dead. The last remnants of them have been eliminated and they will no longer be a pain in our side, Naruto announced as everyone else nodded their heads. Tsunade was a bit in shock at the news but would hold any further questions until after. Now it is time to move on to the next stage, which is to deal with the snake and his allies. I know Lelouch read the strategy, but are there any other updates on it that I should know about? Naruto asked his council. Lelouch actually stepped up this time to speak as everyone, including Naruto, turned their attention to him. There's one big update that I just received this morning. It seems that some remnants of the 1,000-year war remain at large. It seems that they are going to be meeting soon. Both the snake and Ukayabito seem to be on the guest list to attend. Their time of hiding has finally ended and they will plan to make their move soon, Lelouch said. It was about damn time. I thought they were going to just troll over and die without putting up a fight. Luckily we have planned for this, just I didn't think the snake would be strong enough to join, Naruto said. Do you think this would be a good time to bring those from Konoha in? Integra Helsing asked. Not yet. I will let the situation play itself out first. I want to know what their plan is so that we can be prepared for it, Naruto answered. So is it time to send him in? Boy Mustang asked. I don't see why not, Naruto said as he signaled for a courier. Can you bring him here please? Naruto asked as the courier bowed in confirmation and hurried off to get this him to who they were referring to. A few of Naruto's generals started to scribble down notes and were comparing them with each other. Is this a good idea? I mean, what if he gets caught? Tsunade asked finally, finding the courage to speak. I don't think that will be an issue, a voice said from behind Tsunade. She turned around quickly to look at the new entry into the room. She noticed his dark complexion and his silver hair. He wore a gold-colored jacket on top of a white shirt with black slacks. His slacks had a white cross on the left leg and a white stripe running down the right. He wore sunglasses even indoors. However, his most distinct feature was the large X-shaped scar that stretched across his forehead and down over parts of his eyes and cheekbone. Scar, glad you could join us, though I wish it were under better circumstances, Naruto said as the man bowed slightly before Naruto. Scar, we have a mission for you. Obviously, you know better than anyone the inner workings of some of the more notorious figures that threaten the Empire. We want you to infiltrate their little upcoming gathering. Though we don't know the place and time, I'm sure you of all people can figure it out. We want to know what their plans are moving forward. This is just infiltration and scouting, nothing else. Once the gathering is over, you may return here for your report. We will have an extraction team on standby in case things get a little dicey. Do you understand your mission? Lelouch said as the Ishvalan nodded his head in confirmation. Do you have any other questions? Lelouch asked. None. I am grateful that you are giving me such an important mission, boss. I will see to it that I complete it without fail, Scar said as he bowed slightly at Naruto. Tsunade almost couldn't believe the loyalty that Naruto commanded in the room. All of these people with such strong powers and yet they yielded to him. Good. Now go, for you have much to prepare for, Naruto said as Scar exited the room quickly. So who did you have in mind for the extraction team, boss? They will need to be seriously strong in case things get out of hand, Kisame asked. Naruto thought about it for a few moments before he finally had a perfect idea. We will send in the Cyborg 009 unit as the extraction team. Lagoon Company will be sent in as the sea transportation if it comes to it. Class 1A will be sent in as secondary support. We will have a few nightmare frames on standby. That should be adequate enough. Obviously, as a last resort, I will see to it personally that Scar makes it back here, Naruto said as the others in the room nodded their heads in agreement. By the way, has anyone seen Ichi? I thought he was supposed to be here, Naruto asked. Kisame stood up as everyone's attention turned to him. Ichi said he had something to take care of. He mentioned that he shouldn't be gone long, but didn't give me any specifics, Kisame answered as Naruto thought about what the Uchiha could be doing right now. He figured that whatever he was doing, he couldn't stop Ichi from doing it at the moment. Well, alright then. With that out of the way, let's get on with the rest of this meeting, Naruto said. 1 week later, Konoha after Orochimaru had given the coordinates and the time for their meeting, Danzo made sure to get his belongings in order. That included getting the plan to let Sasuke leave the village. Though he had no intention of doing that, he would have to for the sake of the village. He also needed to figure out a way to cut Sasuke loose. The Uchiha was chained to his hospital bed as he still recovered from his injuries. This would take some expert planning on his part. Meanwhile, Sasuke, on the other hand, was pissed. First, he found out that the Dobi was the Emperor of the West. Second, he had lost badly at the hands of one of the strongest warriors in the West. Lastly but most importantly, he lost the chance to marry the strongest kunoichi in the village. Sasuke was starting to believe again that defecting from the village was a must if he wanted to kill Ichi. Seeing his brother again after so many years brought out that anger and revenge that lay dormant these past few years. He needed to find Orochimaru, but first, he needed to figure out a way out of Konoha. It was night time in the village and many of the hospital workers had gone home for the evening. There were not many graveyard shift workers. Even Sakura went home, much to Sasuke's relief. The girl was starting to get on his nerves. Though she was one of the hottest kunoichi in the village, her voice really annoyed him. He didn't mind the sex though. He was pretty sure that once he was out of the hospital, he would take the girl with him and use her to rebuild his clan. He was chained to his bed by chakra sealing chains. They were strong enough to where he couldn't activate his chakra but were weak enough to the point that they needed to be changed every so often. It was almost his time to get his chains replaced and he thought it would be the best time to react given the circumstances. He laid his head back to relax for a little. It was a full moon tonight, he had been seeing a lot of those lately. However, tonight's moon seemed a little off. It looked almost red, as though someone had poured blood all over it. That's when Sasuke realized he couldn't move and it was not because of the chakra sealing chains. Calm yourself, Sasuke. It is only me, Ichi spoke as Sasuke's anger boiled. You traitor! What are you doing here? Coming to finish off the last of our clan? How cowardly of you! Just like when you killed Mom and Dad, always with the surprises, Sasuke scowled as Ichi shook his head at his little brother. You are too young to understand the whole truth from that night. The story goes way before that, Ichi replied calmly. HMPH. Yeah, right. Man, you should pray to Kami that I'm not fully recovered yet. I would kill you where you stand. Then I will kill that Dobi Naruto and take the mantle of Emperor for myself, Sasuke said. What has happened to you, brother? Why are you acting like this? I can understand your hate for me, but why for Naruto? If anything, you should have embraced him. You two came from almost identical backgrounds. You both had something to prove, yet all you have done is spew hate towards him, to your own teammate, to your own friend, Ichi said. That Dobi is not my friend. He never has and never will be my friend. He has ruined everything for me. This village has already done its purpose in my life, and if I was to get stronger, I needed to go to Orochimaru. He is the only one that understands me and will allow me to grow to my full potential. Then, I will kill you, brother. Sasuke answered back as Ichi only shook his head. He never wished for his younger brother to turn out like this. He wanted the total opposite for him. He wanted him to protect the village at all costs. He now realized that his past actions had a profound impact on his younger brother and not in the way he intended. No. You do not need him, Sasuke. He spells nothing but trouble for you. I know firsthand of what he's like. He is not as he seems. He has ulterior motives and is only using you. Can't you see that? Ichi said I could care less if he uses me. When I grow powerful enough, not even Orochimaru will be able to match me. In fact, no one will be able to match me. I will become the ruler of this world. Hell, I will become emperor. Sasuke said. You still have time, Sasuke. Realize the error of your ways as I have realized mine. You can come with me back to the west. I'm sure Naruto will give some sort of pardon to you. Then you and I can go back to how it used to be when we were younger. You don't have to go around spewing this hate anymore. We can finally be a family again, Ichi pleaded with his younger brother. He was almost to the point of tears as he saw that hate had finally consumed his younger brother completely. Ha ha. Do you hear yourself right now? How pathetic you sound. We will never be able to go back to the way things were. You made sure of that. We are no longer family anymore, Ichi. We are no longer brothers. You have decided to align yourself with Naruto and now you will realize that your decision was a huge mistake. I'm going to make you pay. When this is all over, it will be I standing victorious above all of you and it will be I who kills both you and the Dobi. Sasuke said. Ichi turned around to face the window. He couldn't bear to look at his brother any longer. He realized now that Sasuke was truly lost and there was nothing he could do about it. He tried his hardest, but Sasuke had made his decision. Silence filled the room for a few minutes as both the Uchiha brothers refused to look at each other. Ichi glanced up at the moon and realized that both of their fates were inevitable now. Well then, this is where we say our goodbyes, brother. Just remember, everything I never hated you, Sasuke. You were the only one I could not bring myself to hate. No matter what you say or what paths we take, we will always be brothers, Ichi said as he shined away from Sasuke's room. Sasuke just stared into space as he heard his Ichi's words to him. His anger was boiling at this point. He could care less about him anymore. This only made his desire to kill Ichi to grow stronger. This would be the night that Uchiha Sasuke defected from Konoha. With the help of Danzo, some root and Buu and some Oto Shinobi that Orochimaru sent, Sasuke managed to free himself from his chains and escape. The border patrol tried to stop him, but it was to no avail. Sasuke had finally managed to defect from Konoha and now he was headed to Orochimaru. It wouldn't be until the next day that Kakashi and both councils would find out the news. The next day, council room. What? Kakashi asked. The anger that Kakashi was feeling was one of betrayal. He couldn't believe that his student had managed to defect. He thought he was bound to the chakra ceiling chains in the hospital and was put under heavy guard. He wanted an explanation and Danzo was the very person he wanted to do it. He has defected, Hokage-sama. My Anbu alerted me to his escape by some of Orochimaru's shinobi. He killed 2 squads of border patrol shinobi. It seems he is making his way to Oto as we speak, Danzo spoke as everyone in the council room was on high alert. The civilian council was shocked that their most prized asset was gone. Damn it. Get me a response team quickly. We need to get him back before he gets to Orochimaru. Kakashi ordered as Danzo was quick to interrupt. Hokage-sama, I have already had a squad of Root and Buu ready to go. I will personally see to it that the boy returns to Konoha. I know we have our differences, but for the sake of the village, we need to act quickly. I will set off with my Anbu immediately and you can send your response teams back up. We both know that they will not be ready in time. We must go now. Danzo said as he tried to kiss up to Kakashi. Kakashi, on the other hand, was shocked at Danzo's words. He seemed like he genuinely cared for once and was very open about this. Kakashi saw no reason to not allow him to go. Though, he would make sure that his recovery team would catch up quickly to keep an eye on him. "Fine, you may go," Kakashi said as Danzo hurried out of the council room. Kakashi turned to Shikaku, hoping his senior strategist had something in mind. "The timing of this seems very strange, Hokage-sama. We need to tread carefully. Let us send a small team this time, but only send them as backup and for observation. We should not get too close to this. Something is not right, and if we act foolishly, it may end up costing us," Shikaku said as Kakashi agreed. "Very well, get me Team 10, Kakashi ordered. A few days later, undisclosed location Orochimaru waited patiently at the coordinates he gave to Danzo. Along the way, Sasuke managed to find Orochimaru. He immediately requested to become his student, so that he could grow stronger to eliminate both Itachi and Naruto. Orochimaru agreed and allowed the Uchiha an endless supply of women that he could impregnate to give him offspring. Orochimaru also mentioned that in due time, he would bring Sasuke, Sakura Haruno for his pleasure. Danzo finally managed to meet up with the two as his Anbu followed. They were on high alert but were ordered to stand down. As they greeted each other, Orochimaru told Danzo to follow him as they were to get to the meeting. It was being hosted in one of Orochimaru's underground hideouts, which was undisclosed even to the author. A few of the participants were there as they sat around the large circular table. They refused to talk to each other since they still had some hard feelings from their times during the 1,000-Year War. Scar was also in the room as he sat quietly by himself away from the others. Danzo, Orochimaru, and Sasuke took their seats as silence filled the room. It remained that way until most of the seats were filled and bad blood filled the air. If anything, this meeting could be more detrimental than beneficial for the Easterners that were present. Finally, the last member that was supposed to be there finally arrived, which allowed the meeting to finally start. A man who looked much older than most of the group stood first to speak. He had long, platinum blonde hair and a beard with golden eyes. He wore white royal garments that made him look like royalty. "I'm glad we have all gathered under one roof for one common goal. I would like to thank our gracious host for making this possible. It seems our time has finally come, gentlemen. Let's begin with a roll call," Father began as a few others listened. However, the majority of the group could care less. "Who the hell made you the leader? I think you're a little too old for this, Grandpa," a large man with a full black beard yelled out. "You dare to challenge me?" Father began as Blackbeard stepped forward. "Of course. I would kill you where you stand just like I almost did years ago," Blackbeard said as he readied his yami yami no mi. "You both are just wasting our time. It shouldn't matter who the leader is, what matters is why we are all here. Sure, we can keep on fighting each other, but then that brat will rule untouched. His values and beliefs sicken me. It sickens me even more than being in this room with all of you," spoke the most flamboyant of the group. "Like you're one to talk, Don Quixote. You didn't even stand a chance against the Straw Hat," Blackbeard snapped back. "Were you not the one who lost to him too? I do remember you getting whacked upside the head by his rubber arms. I can replay for you if you'd like," Don Quixote da Flamingo threatened. More quarreling started between the members present. Only Danzo, Orochimaru, Sasuke, Amaskabito, and Scar refused to get into it. They knew what their goal was. They needed to make sure that it was completed without fail. However, they would need everyone to put aside their differences for a little bit and cooperate. Finally, Danzo stood up and shouted, "Enough!" Everyone stopped their quarreling and turned to the Warhawk. They were surprised to see that it was someone from the East who had spoken up. They believed that all of these Easterners were weak. However, they were interested in the bravery of this old man here. "Look, though I do not understand your situations, we have important business to attend to. That boy who calls himself emperor seems to have put us all in a bad spot. He must be stopped at once, but that can only be accomplished if we all cooperate. He has followers who would sacrifice themselves for him. Now I'm not saying we need to sacrifice ourselves for each other, however, what I'm saying is that we need to agree on the fact that getting rid of the boy is our number one priority. That is all I am concerned about, Danzo said as he sat back down in his chair. The others soon did the same as they finally gave roll call that father had wanted in the beginning. Shishio Makoto is present. The Major is present. Gilgamesh is present. Sosuke Aizen is present. Tasokamaru is present. Marshal D Teach is present. Dio Brando is present. Griffith is present. Tamura Shigaraki is present. Grimjoujster Jax is present. Don Quixote da Flamingo is present. Toby is present. Scar is present. Scar? What are you doing here? I was under the impression that you were imprisoned back in the West, Father mentioned as the Ishvalan's demeanor never changed. Well, you heard wrong. I managed to escape my captors in the West. You of all people should know how I am with authority. That brat doesn't know how to be a leader. Not to mention that I heard he employs Mustang on his council. Anyone who shows sympathy to alchemists deserve my wrath, and that is why I am here, Scar said as everyone liked the answer he gave. Very well, let us continue then. Miriam is present. Orochimaru is present. Uchiha Sasuke is present. Shimura Danzo is present. Father is present. After roll call, everyone gave their opinions on the matter of taking down the Western Empire. Some believed that a full frontal attack would work best. However, others believed that sneak attacks and hit-and-run tactics would work better. All of these were technically good ideas, however, due to their small numbers, it would be nearly impossible to overtake the West like that. Even though each member was powerful in their own right, taking down an empire required more strategy than just brute strength. What say you, Easterners? You have not given any ideas yet, Don Quixote said as Orochimaru pondered on the thought. Sasuke was not one to understand strategy yet and agreed with the full frontal attack, believing they would be powerful enough to overtake the West. Obito was also silent as he knew no matter what they did was going to be a challenge regardless. That was when Danzo came up with what he deemed to be a brilliant idea. Instead of us taking the fight to them, why don't we make them come to us? The Konoha elder spoke as this piqued some of the other members' interests. Go on, Aizen said. Well, we do know from our intel that the boy has made a few allies in the east. A couple of smaller villages and a larger one are the three that they have formed treaties with. If we were to overtake these smaller villages, he would be forced to come to protect his allies. When we can confirm that he is here in the east, then we can overtake the West and surprise them when their leader and possibly their strength is low. That would be the best time to attack. He cannot be in two places at once, Danzo suggested as the others nodded their head in agreement. They had to admit, it was an interesting plan that could work. It seems like a good strategy. It allows us to shed some of that much needed blood we have been deprived of, the Major pointed out. I concur. This allows us to finally get back at that brat for putting us out of business, Dio Brando added. Then it is decided. We will reconvene in a week with our forces and begin the official planning stages. They will never know what hit them, Father said as everyone else agreed. Remember, we must gather as much of our forces as possible. I don't care if you have to use children, we will need all hands on deck for this, Blackbeard added. Wait. Before we all leave, I do believe we need a group name, Tamura Shigaraki said as he stood up with his hand raised. Really? Again with this name thing, Tamura? You tried this during the war. No, we are not going to call ourselves the League of Villains, Grimjow said as most of the others agreed. Tamura returned to his seat, sulking at the denial of his request. Why not Tengu? The boy loves to wear a Tengu mask. Let us show him the true meaning of what a real Tengu does, Danzo suggested. Interesting. I'm not going to lie, I thought all Easterners were useless, but you have given us interesting ideas, Aizen said. Are we all in favor of the name? Aizen asked as everyone nodded. As of today, this group shall be known as Tengu. As the meeting was over, many of the participants went their separate ways. Danzo, Sasuke, and Orochimaru stayed behind for a quick chat. Obito lingered around for a bit, undetected to the other three. Scar also was able to remain hidden in the hideout, as he was focused on the three from the east. So you're not taking me back? Sasuke asked Danzo as the Warhawk turned to him. No, I'm not. You will be staying with Orochimaru for the time being, Danzo said as he looked back to Orochimaru, however you both will stay as far away from the village as possible. I will hold my end of the bargain if you hold yours. You will not make any attempts on Konoha, Danzo finished as Orochimaru smirked. Of course. I do not need the village anymore. I will be more concentrated on destroying the Jinchuriki if anything. Besides, young Sasuke is going to need a teacher. He will be learning from me over the coming months. He will grow strong in that time, the snake said as Danzo nodded. His root Tanbu appeared to escort him out of the premises. Better meet that backup team Kakashi sent. Make sure it seems like we couldn't get to Sasuke in time, Danzo thought. Now Sasuke-kun, I believe your training should start immediately. You will have time to repopulate your clan later. Come with me, we have much to prepare for, Orochimaru said as Sasuke followed him deeper into the underground compound. Meanwhile, Scar had all the information he needed. He needed to make his way back west before he was detected and let Naruto know about the recent developments. He would then need to make his way back here for the planning process. A few days later, Western Empire Council chambers. Scar stood in front of the entire council. The moment he arrived, he was ordered to meet with Naruto and the council. He had much to divulge and plenty to reveal about not only this meeting but also what happened in Konoha. He explained the members who were a part of the meeting. Though the council was not surprised per se, they were disappointed that the past actions were now kind of catching up to them as well. Jiraiya folded his arms, closed his eyes, and huffed a little. You were too soft on them, Naruto. You should have finished them off when you had the chance, Jiraiya said as Tsunade turned to her adopted grandson. What is he talking about, Naruto? She asked. Naruto took a deep breath as he prepared to explain. It was during the time of war that we encountered many factions and warlords that didn't agree with our philosophies. So naturally, we fought it out with each other. We prevailed, however, some of the warlords managed to escape. To be honest, I did spare some of them, but that was only because they were in no condition to continue their fight. I left them heavily injured and there was no way they could return to the same form as they used to, Naruto explained. Yes, but they can still recover. 6 years is a long time, brother. I agree with Jiraiya that we should have killed them when we had the chance, Lelouch chatted. I don't know why you spared them anyways. You should have just finished them off just like you did with Charaznable. Then they wouldn't be a problem right now, Jiraiya said as Naruto conceded that his godfather was right. I know, but with Chara it was different. He nearly killed my wife. Not to mention that he killed Suzaku. I lost control. I remember telling myself that I would never lose control like that again. That was the only time I allowed Kurama to control me, Naruto said as he tried to make a point. The past doesn't matter anymore. What matters now is that we eliminate them before they strike next, Euphemia said as she entered the room. The entire council stood up as she took a seat next to her husband. Please continue, Scar, Euphemia said. Yes, Empress-sama. So, their strategy seems to be that they want to go after our allies in the east. They want to draw us out and are banking on the boss to personally face off against them. This leaves them an opening to attack here, which I find terribly stupid since they wouldn't stand a chance, even with their combined forces, Scar explained. Interesting, They want us to come to them instead of taking the fight to us. Bold strategy. They're banking on the fact that Naruto may take our strongest fighters with him to defend our allies, which would leave the capital relatively weakened, Jiraiya said. That seems to be the strategy they are going with. However, they are going to be finalizing the plans in less than a week. I'll know the completed plans then. It's funny that they seem to accept the strategy from someone from the East. I could tell they seemed to view them as inferior, but they accepted their input nonetheless, Scar said. Danzo. That man will soon get his soon enough. Besides that, you said there was something else we should know? Naruto asked. Well, I think this goes more for you, boss, but the Uchiha seems to have defected from Konoha. He arrived with Orochimaru when they first entered. It seems that Danzo had something to do with it. He mentioned that they had an agreement in place to spare Konoha. It seems you are the object of their obsession now, Scar mentioned. Everyone else in the room started to write vigorously in their notes. It seems they were adding on to the plans that they had put in place. Thank Kami. Naruto shouted. Everyone, including his wife, looked at him confusingly. It's about damn time that Dum defected. I thought he was going to jerk off in that village until I destroyed it. He will finally become a challenge. It was getting boring kicking his ass without him putting much of a fight. Don't worry, we will plan for him later. However, that makes their village a lot weaker. I think a visit with the fire daimyo is in order, Naruto said gleefully as everyone else kind of shook with fear. Naruto had a plan up his sleeve, something he had yet to divulge with the rest of them, and they weren't sure if they really wanted to know about it. So what's the next move? We already had a contingency plan for this, but it seems you maybe have something else in mind? Boy Mustang asked. Naruto didn't take very long to answer. We will evacuate both Spring and Wave. It seems like those will be the likely targets first before they even head to Suna. I assume due to their low numbers, they will not have as many scouts in the area, as usual, so we should be able to evacuate without them knowing. Let's send in the carriers to get them out. Cornelia can draw up a more specific plan. In Spring, I want our available Super Sentai squadrons to go undercover and pose as civilians. Once they come and try to ransack the village, they can give it to them. I would assume they will only send underlings. The same with Wave, except I want the riders to go. I feel like the bigger force will be dispatched to Suna. That is where you all come in. I will dispatch a selected squad to Suna. I'm sure they will be enough for whatever they try to throw at us. The rest of us will remain here in the capital and let them come to us, Naruto said. His council really couldn't argue with it and would hash out the finer details after the meeting. Scar, just keep up the reconnaissance. Once you know of the full details, report back immediately, Naruto ordered as the Ishvalan nodded in obedience. I will not fail you, boss, he said as he took his leave. Good. Looks like we'll be busy the next few days. Let's double check everything and make sure we're all ready for the battle ahead, Naruto said. He also knew that this would be the right time to make good on his promise to allow those who wanted to leave Konoha to come to the west. He would need to make sure the fire daimyo was on board with it, not that he would decline anyway. Emperor's Palace Ichi had finally made his way back to the west. He made the long journey to Konoha in hopes of being able to convince his brother to see the errors of his ways. Unfortunately, it seemed that the hate had finally consumed Sasuke to the point of no return. Though he felt depressed about seeing his little brother in that state, there was nothing he could do for him anymore. Sasuke made his choice and Ichi would make his. He knew that following Naruto was now the path he needed to take. He was not his usual self as he entered the palace. He was still thinking of Sasuke's declaration that they were no longer brothers. Ichi wished that things had turned out different, but it seemed that fate had other plans for him. As he walked into his room, he noticed Naruto was there waiting for him. He was looking out of the large window that overlooked the green forest in the back of the palace. Ichi had requested this room because of the greenery that he could see out in the backyard. Naruto's hands were together behind his back as Ichi entered. "You missed the council meeting this morning," Naruto said, not looking at the Uchiha. "I had some other things to take care of," Ichi replied. "How was your chat with your brother?" Naruto asked, still refusing to look at Ichi. "How did you know?" Ichi asked. "Well, it's not every day that one of my personal advisors decides to take a week-long vacation without any prior notice. Especially at a time like this," Naruto said as he finally turned to face Ichi. "So, how did it go?" "It went just about as well as I expected," Ichi answered. "I see he will not change, even for you," Naruto said. "He will not. It seems the hate that I instilled in him has finally consumed him. He doesn't want anything to do with me anymore. His only goal now is to kill both you and me, and he will stop at nothing to achieve that goal," Ichi explained. "Figures. No wonder he defected at the time that he did. He's going to coming non-stop until we stop him," Naruto said as Ichi wasn't surprised one bit at the news. The usually stoic Uchiha sat down on one of the chairs near the entrance to the room and put his face in his hands. He was so frustrated and knew that it was his fault that his brother turned out like that. Naruto walked over to him and placed a comforting hand on his shoulder. "Look, there is nothing we can do for him now. To be honest, I want him back almost as much as you do. Some part of me still sees him as my friend and rival, even though he has caused me so much pain in my life. However, he is now our enemy. You will need to remember that from now on. Though I know he is your little brother, he has made it clear that he does not want the same peace you and I do. I know this may be hard, maybe even harder than when you had to kill your parents, but you must understand that he threatens everything we worked hard for. You need to ask yourself that when the time comes, will you be able to stop him, or will your guilt and past transgressions cause you to allow him to gain the upper hand?" Naruto said as he walked out of the room. For the first time in a long time, Ichi felt tears falling down his cheeks as he pondered on Naruto's words. On the outside, Ichi felt that he would not let Sasuke get the better of him. However, on the inside, he was unsure of how he felt. He would not get much sleep that night, as he pondered one of the biggest decisions he would have to make. Thank you for watching.